Over to you, Vinay.
Yeah, thanks. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining in. And today we'll talk about the one of the ways of working in Agile, that is acceptance test-driven development. I'm just sharing my screen. Hope it's visible.
Yes, Vinay.
Yeah. So I'm Vinay Supekar, and I'm working as a project manager in ThoughtWorks. And today, let's have some discussion done around the acceptance test-driven development. So for next 40 to 50 minutes time, I will be talking about how a typical development and test cycle goes in any agile team, how we can use acceptance test driven development to mitigate few of the challenges or the wastages those are happening with typical dev and QA cycles by using the acceptance test driven development way. We will also cover the two important aspects of acceptance test driven development. These are three amigos and Gherkin as a language framework. Then we'll talk about the advantages that we get by using ATDD, and we'll also talk about what are the considerations or the challenges that we need to think of before going for the acceptance test driven development. Okay, so like mentioned earlier, you can post your questions in Q&A sessions, and I will try to go through those questions during the session so that we can get the live discussion around this. Okay, so when we talk about user stories or agile ways of working, so whether that team is a Scrum team or a Kanban team, that doesn't matter. All the agile teams are working in the form of user stories. So their requirements are captured in user stories, and these user stories are kept somewhere on the board, and people used to refer that. And while using those user stories, there are certain criteria that we define, and we consider those criteria as a criteria of acceptance. That when we will consider that my story is successful or when my story will be accepted. So there are various ways in which those user story details are maintained. One of the example is shown here, like people write the user stories in the form of as some user. Then we mention the intent, what we are expecting out of that user story. And sometimes, or not many times, but sometimes we mention why do we need that story. So we provide the intent for that implementation as well, which is very pretty decent way of maintaining the acceptance criteria. Few people are using more descriptive way of writing the acceptance criteria. They try to elaborate the requirement in the more natural language. Okay, so this is how most of the user stories are maintained. And when we say that we will implement on this user story, this is how a typical development cycle goes within each iteration or within each Kanban cycles. Okay, so development team comes, they analyze the requirement which is given or the written by the product owner or the business analyst. Then that requirement is considered for the implementation. During the implementation, developer again reads that in requirement or the acceptance criteria, those are given. They try to implement that functionality as per the interpretation that they make out of the requirement which is given to them. So once development is done, the feature or the product is handed over to the test team. So what test engineers does, they have their test scenarios developed against the acceptance criteria or the requirement given by the stakeholders, and they write their test scenarios. Now, whether that scenario is manual or whether that scenario is automated, it doesn't matter, but they run that test cases around the implementation that they have. And if everything goes well, that gets deployed to the path to life. So dev, QA, pre-prod, product, so on. But this is very idealistic way of any typical implementation. But when we work as a team, we found we most of the times we observe that this is not how exactly it works. Like, so we must have seen that when a build is given to the test engineers for the testing, they find some bug in that. So they find something is not behaving as per the expected way. So what they do, they hand over some bug to the development team, and development team then talks to the test engineer, and then they have some debate done. Sometimes that bugs get agreed and fixed, and again build is given to the test engineer. Sometimes developer doesn't agree that okay, this is how it should work. So sometimes they end up in analyzing that requirement further, because the understanding that is made out of that requirement by the development team and the test team could be different, because it's human being interpreting the information in different way or processing the information differently. So sometimes this cycle continues within all the iterations, and we must have experienced this at least once in our professional career, that a bug is found, then developer disagrees to that, and we go back to the business analyst or the product owner and get the more details around that requirement. So this is the wastage of the time, because when we start an iteration, we have some commitment given about the delivery, and the delivery has to be a predictive one. So if this cycle continues, this loop continues, our delivery date gets delayed further, and which is not so good for any agile team. So to minimize this, we need to consider what is causing these issues. So what is the problem in that? The first challenge I can see is the lack of collaboration. So what do I mean by the collaboration? Analysis is done independently. So product owner or the business analyst analyzes the requirement. Then it is handed over to the development team and test engineers for identifying the scenarios out of it. Now, what happens usually, developer implements the scenario in silos, and test engineer also build the automation test or the manual test cases in silos. So these two parties are not collaborating with each other. So a developer is not aware of how my functionality is going to be tested, or a tester is not aware how that functionality is actually implemented. He is just, or she is just maintaining the test scenarios as per his or her own understanding of the requirements that are given. So this is the lack of collaboration resulting into the back and forth discussions and delays. And another most important aspect of this typical model is the delayed feedback. So if you look at this model, you will see that this is kind of a waterfall maintained within an iteration or within a sprint. And when we say that we are working in an agile way, we say that we don't follow the waterfall model. But if you see, this is exactly the waterfall model. And why it is considered as it looks like a waterfall model, because we are doing these activities step by step, because we first implement and then test and then deploy. And that is causing the delay for the feedbacks. Now, typically what is considered as a feedback is the feedback given by the business stakeholders, or in typical demo or showcase meetings that are happening with the client team, the leadership team, and then they provide some feedback on the functionality that is implemented. That is most for all the teams, but the first feedback which is given for any feature or the functionality is within the team itself. And the first feedback is given to a developer is by the testing team. So they write the scenario, they test your functionality around that scenario, and feedbacks are given. So if that feedbacks are delayed, so if developer is taking 1 week for the implementation, he is or she is implementing 10 different scenarios around that feature, and then at once they start getting the feedback on all those 10 different scenarios, and that is nothing but the waterfall causing the delayed in feedback. So what we can do in order to improve this wastage? So how can we make sure that we will have teams collaborating with each other and we will get timely feedbacks? So the answer lies in the acceptance test driven development way. Okay, so when we talk about acceptance test driven development, it relies on 4 Ds. D for Delhi, and that first D starts with the discussion. So that discussion is about the requirements given by the product owner or the business analyst to the development team. And to facilitate this discussion, ATDD suggests or recommends a typical framework, and that framework is called as a 3 Amigos session. So what 3 Amigos stands for? 3 different people from the different background. They will come together and they will discuss the requirement, and they will add their own perspective to the requirement which is getting refined. So product owner or the business analyst will talk about the business requirements, about the business context, the criticality, importance of the requirement. A participant from the dev team typically that person is a dev lead, not necessarily always a dev lead, but typically it's a dev lead, will give the implementation or the technical aspect, the feasibility, technical feasibility aspect to that requirement, while that requirement is still getting refined. And the third and not last, I would say, is the participation from the testing side. So typically a QA lead or senior QA joins that discussion, and they discuss the requirement in a greater details. And output of that discussion is some distilled requirement. So some requirement which is captured or they discuss within that forum. And the next step is the second D is about the distilling that requirement. Now, distilling that requirement is nothing but converting the requirement given by the business stakeholder into a specific format that will be interpreted and understood by everyone involved in the team. And ATTD suggests to use a language framework called as Gherkin for that. So what Gherkin suggests, it's a natural language, I would say. It's not a technology, but it's more of a way of writing the acceptance criteria. And so when requirement is being distilled, it is expected that acceptance criteria would be maintained in this GWT format. GWT stands for given, when, and then. So the same requirement or the same acceptance criteria that we have seen earlier can be rewritten in this way. And if you are having some background of the test automation, be it acceptance test or be it a unit test, you will see that all the test cases that we write are having three aspects of that, three A's we call. First is the arrange, act, and assert. So arrange is nothing but what is required setup to execute a test case. Act is nothing but actual action that we do about that scenario. And assertion is the verifying the behavior against the expected behavior. So when we maintain the acceptance criteria in this GWT format, there is no ambiguity between how to convert that acceptance criteria into the automation test case. So if you see that this given stands for the setup. So what is required in order to execute this action? So this is the given. And when is the actual action that is going to be performed by the actual end user? And then is nothing but the expected behavior when this action will be performed on this setup. So this is pretty self-explanatory, and it talks about the requirement in a more clearer way. And the best part of this maintaining GWT is converting the requirement into automation test cases or be it a manual test case. It is very simple. So this is how your typical user story will look like. And when you will write the automation around it, if you are, so this screenshot is for the JUnit. This is downloaded from the internet. Your actual test case will look like this in your IDE. So it will talk about what feature are you testing. It will also talk about the scenario, and it will give the clearer details about the exact steps those are performed by that scenario. So the biggest advantage of this is if your test case is failing, and most of the times if test case is failed, we need to engage some technical person, be it a test engineer or a developer, to interpret which scenario or what functionality is broken. But if you look at this particular screenshot, you will see that there is no technology coming out of this. It is only talking about the functionalities and which functionality is successful. So it is very much easy for any non-technical stakeholder to your team to understand and go through the scenarios those are automated and how are they doing in a particular environment. I'll just take a pause and we'll go through any question if there are any. Just scrolling through the chat. Okay. So moving ahead, so we'll talk about two parts, two Ds, discuss and distill. So distilling is nothing but the converting what are the requirements that you have discussed into the GWT format. Okay, and next comes is the most important aspect of ATTD, that is the actually implementing the scenario or developing that scenario using acceptance test driven development. So acceptance test driven development is actually, I would say, an extrapolated version of test driven development. So if you have heard about the test driven development, it is about implementing your test case before you actually write your class, or writing a test case and then actually implementing the function or a method in your class. And test that is written as a part of DDD is the unit test case. And since it is an unit test case, it talks about an unit, and typically in an object-oriented way or in object-oriented world, that unit is always a class. So TDD is the proven industry practice, and it is followed by many people, many teams, and they are getting the advantages out of TDD. But there is one limitation of the TDD. Since it works at the unit level, it does not give you any provision to test your integration points. By using test-driven development way, you cannot check whether the API or the database that you are giving, calling to is giving the expected behavior or not. So that is the major limitation, or I would say that is not the use case for the test-driven development. And that's why the agile practitioner have extrapolated the test-driven development to the next level, where we can use the same practice so that we will build the automation first. Automation is nothing but the test case that you have written against the GWT, those are identified. Once automation is written, you will implement the scenario. That's implementing the scenario is actually doing the development around it. And again, if we want to get best out of acceptance test driven development, it is recommended that you use acceptance test driven development in conjunction with test driven development. So when you will come to the phase when your scenario is to be implemented, you should again use the test driven development way. So this blue circle will represent the TDD, and what TDD says, you write the failed unit test case first. That is considered as a red in the TDD terminologies. That is, you will write the unit test case, that test case will fail first. Then you will write a code which is minimum required code, I would say, which is required to make that test case green. And once that test case is successful, you will do some refactoring to your code that you just have added, be it a test case or be it your implementations code. You will refactor it so that you will make your commit a production ready commit. So this blue cycle stands for the TDD cycle. So when you will club a TDD with TDD, you will write the automation first. Then you will implement the scenario, and while implementing the scenario, you will use a test-driven development. So that is the TDD, red, green refactor. Once your scenario is implemented, you will run the automation that you have already built. So at the first phase, we are already having an automation implemented. Scenario is now ready. So if you want to get the best out of acceptance test driven development, the best way to do that is, if your story is having 4 different acceptance criteria or 4 different GWTs, it is not recommended that you write all the 4 GWTs at once, or you automate your all the scenarios at once, implement all the scenarios at once, and then run automation against all those scenarios at once. Again, you will feel this, get the same problem of the delayed feedback. So how we can do that? We can implement the first GWT. Sometimes technically it is possible, sometimes it is not possible, but we will not talk about those corner cases as of now. But 70 to 80% of the time it is possible that pick one GWT or one acceptance criteria, write the automation around it, implement that typical scenario which is expected by this automation. You run scenario against the implementation that you have, and once you say that, okay, my automation is successfully passing, you write the next automation, implement the next scenario, run automation, and this is how you go on. So this is how a typical acceptance test driven development goes till the development. And once your complete development is done, you can go further and demonstrate the implementation of that user story to the wider audience. So moving on. So how, what is the benefit that we get when we talk about this acceptance test driven development blended with test driven development? Is the earlier waterfall model that we have seen, it is still somehow looks like the waterfallish model, but in the earlier typical cycle that we have seen, the implementation and test were depicted or are always on independent activities. But when we do integration of these two together using acceptance test driven development, there will be no way in which you can distinguish, okay, this is my day on which I will be developing the functionality, on this date I will be testing that functionality. But when you implement that user story in one by one way using write automation, implement and test that automation, your development and test cycles or that phases gets merged together. And when these two phases are merged together, we get just-in-time feedback. Okay, so when we say that there is a bug, which is the place or which is the phase which is at which the bug costs us easiest or the lowest to fix. Bugs can be found in the production, bugs can be found in your integration environment, bugs can be found on the test environment, and few bugs are also found on your local system itself when you are actually implementing that scenario. And the easiest or the cheapest way to fix that bug is the developer's machine itself when that code is not even pushed to your code repository. And when you are having acceptance test development practice, you get just-in-time feedback. So you just develop your functionality and you run the automation that is available at your disposal, and you will get feedback about whether the functionality that you have implemented is working as per expectations or not. So that just-in-time feedbacks helps us in minimizing the time which is required for that bug to be fixed. So if you are fixing that bug on the QA environment, you need to again redeploy your code, you need to discuss that scenario with the test engineer, and definitely there will be some increased turnaround time. But when we fix that bug, even before we push that code for the first time, that is the most cheapest and the easiest way to fix it, and this just-in-time feedback helps us for that. Okay, I'm taking a pause for a question. Just give me a moment. Okay, so there is a question around: is acceptance test driven development is relevant in the manual testing? Okay, so when we talk about the acceptance test driven development, you can practice it without automation as well. It is technically possible to write those test scenarios in your Excel sheet or some test suite somewhere. But again, when you talk about this just-in-time feedbacks, it is not only about testing that scenario against the current implementation. So assume that you are building a whole new product, and of course that product will have multiple, I would say, functionalities, multiple scenarios in it. So if you are implementing a certain scenario, there is a high chance that you may regress the other functionality, which is dependent or having upstream or downstream dependencies on that. So it is technically not possible to, or practically it is not possible to implement, to execute all those scenarios when you are actually developing that user story. So if you want to get best out of it, try to go for the automation. Using the manual way as well, you can practice acceptance test driven development, but you will not get the 100% efficiency or the 100% benefit out of that. But to answer to your question, yes, it is technically possible to do that, but it is not a recommended way of using acceptance test driven development without the automation. Okay, so we'll talk about the few advantages. Those are provided by this new or the improvised way of working. So this is the, I would say, a framework or a practice that encourages few of the most important agile aspect. And one of the important agile aspect is the collaboration. So what Agile says, we will not rely on the documentation, but we will have the frequent interaction between the individuals. So documentation is not preferred in any agile ways of working. And what people misinterprets that, okay, I will not write any Confluence page. I will try to write minimum required details in the user story, and then we'll see how it goes. So people are just taking one of the aspect of the agile that, okay, we will not do comprehensive documentation in the agile. But at the same time, we also need to consider that the documentation is skipped at the cost of the collaboration. So if you are not collaborating while implementing your user story or implementing your functionality, you will always face some challenges, like we discussed in sometimes before, that there could be some misunderstanding or the misinterpretation of the requirement between the dev team, a business analyst, and the test engineer, and that cycle keeps going on and on. So when we talk about acceptance test driven development, and we talked about three amigos. So what three amigos does, it enforces three different aspects of the delivery to come together and discuss the requirement: business side, development side, and the testing side. So when they collaborate together, they can refine the requirement in a better way than requirement refining happens in the silos. So that is the one of the most important aspect of the acceptance test driven development, which is actually enabling the effective agile practice for UAT. That is the collaboration. Okay, so next, again, another important aspect of agile is the feedbacks. So you should get more frequent and more quicker feedbacks as much as possible. And when we are having the independent development and test phases, those feedbacks are not that quick. So there could be a lag of few days to few weeks. So if your development is happening today, your test engineer may pick that functionality for the testing maybe in the next week. So, and by that time, developer gets busy with something else and then switching between the context and understanding what was the thought process while implementing that. So that takes time. So if we are getting the quicker feedbacks, we will definitely have the improved efficiency or the improved throughput of the team. So that is the another aspect which is equally important. And next is the another advantage in the terms of agile provided by acceptance test driven development is the pair programming. Now pair programming is not directly related to agile, but agile enforces us or encourages us to use extreme programming practice, and pair programming is one of the most important extreme programming practice. So ultimately, when we are talking about acceptance test driven development, one of the key factor of that is it is not that an automation is built by the automation engineer in silo and then that automation is handed over to the developer for the implementation, and then developer will execute those scenarios. When we talk about acceptance test driven development, it assumes that a developer and a test engineer are pairing up together and they are adding their own views on that requirement and they are refining the requirement and they are implementing the requirement in a paired model. So what is the advantage which is getting out of that is requirement is now very crystal clear. So when an automation is built, developer knows what that automation means and how that requirement is being interpreted from the testing standpoint. When that functionality is actually implemented, tester is involved in that implementation. So he or she can actually see what is the thought process developer is applying and whether the implementation is as per the expected behaviors or not. So even before that actual automation gets triggered in, that pairing helps us in implementing the scenario in more accurate way. I'm not saying when you are doing acceptance test driven development, you will have no bugs and everything will be hunky-dory. Of course, we all are human beings, and though two people are working together, there are chances of committing a mistake, but these chances are very rare when you are pairing up together and you are practicing acceptance test driven development. That is the these are the agile aspects or the advantages in terms of agile practice acceptance test development gives. Secondly, you must have experienced that, okay, my functionality is now ready. I have tested my code and it is pushed. Developer says, okay, I have pushed my code, now you test it. And sometimes because of lack of time or because of the delivery deadlines, test engineer says that, okay, I have tested it manually. Let's push this code to the production, or let's go ahead with that. We will develop this automation later. And that later most of the time never comes, or when it comes, it comes with huge backlogs. We discover that, okay, there are 50 different stories, those are still pending for the automation, because we are developing the functionality first and then we are considering automation effort as a secondary effort or the good to have categories effort. It is never considered as a must to have in, I'm not saying in all the teams, but most of the teams are having good to have a kind of attitude for the automation. But when we talk about the acceptance test driven development, we are bound to write the automation first. So of course, if you are writing the automation ahead of the functionality, your automation coverage is going to be improved. So you will see that decrease in trend of your manual test scenarios by using the acceptance test driven development. The next, and I would say one of the, again, most important aspect of acceptance test driven development is there is a reduced ambiguity between the what business owner or the business analyst is saying and how the development team is actually interpreting the requirement. Development team, I mean, it includes everyone, test engineer, development engineer, platform engineer, everyone. So when we are having requirement maintained in that typical GWT format using Gherkin, requirement becomes more clearer and easier for the everyone's understanding. So that is another advantage given by the acceptance test driven development. And I have shown you one screenshot that talks about the success and failed scenarios. So when a test case fails, the non-technical user, typically project managers, product owner, they not necessarily they will understand the technology, and they will be able to go through the logs and understand which part of the functionality is currently broken. Typically, because it is very hard for any non-technical user to go through the build logs or the test failures logs and understand what is failing. But when we practice acceptance test driven development in GWT format, we are forced to use a typical framework, like that framework is called as the business driven development, BDD. And the frameworks or the tools available for that is like SpecFlow, Cucumber, or BDD5. So these frameworks are helping us in interpreting the test results in a natural language. We can go through that failure test case and we can immediately understand what is actually broken. So this is the another important aspect given by the acceptance test driven development to non-technical stakeholders of your team. And it is also a common language for everyone to understand. So if I'm saying, okay, this GWT failing, everyone is on the same page with respect to that failure or that requirement. Okay, so there are many other advantages as well, but these are the most important advantages that I can think of. I'm taking a pause and I'm going through questions. Okay, it's very lengthy question. We'll take it later maybe. Okay, so the question is one implementation of is it always practically possible to write automation scripts before functionality is even implemented? So okay, so the Aman's question is it always possible for us to write the automation ahead of the functional implementation? Okay, so there are two aspects of it. If you are building an API, I can guarantee you your API automation is 100% possible to be written ahead of your functionality, because it is already known that, okay, we will be hitting this API with these contracts. So for API, it is possible. When it comes to the UI automation, yes, it is not 100% possible to write all the test scenarios ahead of your functional implementation. But how typical development happens with UIs, teams are given with some UX design, UI mocks, wireframes, and then people wire those buttons, labels, text box with some backend code. So when developer starts working with his or her implementation, they are already having some wireframes available. And I believe it is not 100%, but at least 80 to 90% possible to write the automation around those UX or wireframes as well. So not practically 100%, but yeah, most of the times you will find the scenario that it is pretty much possible to write the automation ahead of the functionality. And when it is not possible, yeah, we should not skip that, but implement the functionality and then go ahead and write the automation for it. But we should try to minimize that frequency. Okay, so these are the advantages, and now we'll talk about the few considerations or the challenges. Those are typically needs to be considered before going with acceptance test driven development, because it is not only about writing your acceptance criteria in some new natural language. It takes more than that. Like we discussed earlier as well, that it is it possible, or can we use the acceptance test driven development without having some automation done? So and I told you as well that if you are using acceptance test driven development without automation, you will not get the 100% results. And when we are going with the acceptance test driven development, we need to make sure that the sponsors for our project, be it a project manager, business stakeholders, or your customer, or your own internal leadership, we need to make them aligned, or we need to make them aware about the need of the automation, and we need to get their buy-in for the investment on the automation. Now, investment on the automation is not only about the skills, because the first thing that we need to consider is, if we are having a Scrum team or a Kanban team, we must have skills for the automation. If skills are not there, we need to invest on the trainings. People need to undergo through some workshops, they need to practice their skills for the automation. That is the first part of the investment. And the another part, which is giving the benefits in the longer run, is the time required to implement that automation. So it sometimes it looks very easy that, okay, I have implemented this scenario, I will test it manually in 1 hour's time, and my story will. So for example, if my development effort is 3 hours, hypothetical example, a manual testing effort is 30 minutes, a deployment effort is 30 minutes. So my total turnaround time for that story to go live in the production is 4 hours. Okay. And if you are going with way of writing the automation for that story, it will take 3 hours for the functionality to implement, maybe another 3 hours for that automation to be built, and 30 minutes for the deployment. So of course, your time for the implementation or the that story's cycle time will get increased, because you are writing more code for the automation, and that will initially will reduce your velocity, and your stakeholders should bear with you for that time. Because if you write the automation for that story once, you will never need to re-execute that scenario in future manually. So that 30 minutes effort that is required for each, before each production release or before each QA deployment, that is going to be minimized. So if you look at the individual stories perspective, it looks like automation is slowing us down. But if you look at the feature level or the major release level, automation is actually helping us to go fast. And for that, we need to invest our learning, we need to invest our time for the automation. Second consideration, which is equally important, we talked about the pair programming. So it is not advisable that you go with the acceptance test driven development without pairing up together. And this pairing is in the form of typically a developer and a QA or a test engineer. And typical arrangement of any Scrum team is we have, let's say, 6 developers, and typically then we will have 2 to 3 test engineers in the team. So how that pairing is practically possible? So if we assume that, so we have signed up for the 5 user stories, let's say, for a given iteration, and all those 5 user stories we have considered, or we have committed by considering the automation effort as well. So it is practically possible for those 3 or 2 test engineers to write the automation for those 5 user stories. So what can we do to start with? We can keep the pairs dynamic. So they test engineer will pair up with the development or the test developers for the I would say round robin manner, and they will implement the scenario when testers are present. They will write the automation and test their automation. So to start with, we can keep that pairs as a dynamic or fluidic, but eventually you will see that when a developer is pairing up with the test engineer, developer will easily understand how to write the automation scenarios. At the same time, since an automation engineer is also having the knowledge of the how to write the code, and if that person is pairing up with the developer, test engineers engineering skill will also improve, and that person will also be able to write the actual implementation as a developer. So eventually you will find that the individuals that you have in your team will become cross-functional individuals. So your developer will have knowledge about how to write the automation tests, and your test engineer will have some knowledge on how to implement the actual business scenario as a developer. So that gives sufficient level of I would say flexibility to team to sign up for the user stories. That gives more confidence for each individual, because now they can work more independently. They can suggest recommendation for each in the areas those are not typically they are considering as a part of the engineering area. Like developers are never concerned about how automation is actually written. And if you compare the code quality of the actual code which is written by the developer or the functionality, and if you compare that code quality with the code which is maintained for the automation, so typically we use two different projects for that. And if you run any SonarQube analysis or any static code analysis, you will find that there will be always some lag of the code quality at the automation side's code, because most of the times test engineers are not paying equal attention to the design patterns and practices, but developers are experts in that. So when a developer pairs up with the test engineer, eventually a developer starts giving some feedback, some review comments when that scenario is actually implemented, and that results in the improved automation quality. At the same time, when a particular scenario is implemented by the developer, a test engineer gives his or her own views or the perspective of that functionality, and developers are remaining on the track or being on the track for the actual implementation. So this pairing actually helps each individual to improve their skills, and eventually that increases the overall velocity for the team. And having that cross-functional individuals is not a theory. I have actually experienced that in my past project. Okay, and next important consideration is, okay, we have built the automation, we practiced the pair programming, we are writing the test in first and then implementing the scenarios, but we don't have any pipeline or any automation to trigger my automation. So somebody is actually going and manually triggering the automation test cases, and then my scenarios are getting executed. So that should be minimized. That should not be the case when we are talking about the automation testing. So automation should have some trigger that will be executing all the test cases that are present in your code base, be it an unit test case, integration test case, or any other acceptance or end-to-end test case. That has to be triggered either after each check-in by the engineer, the both test engineer and the developers, as well as that automation should be triggered after each of the deployment on your any environment. Of course, not on prod or pre-prod, but on your control or on the non-prod environment, your automation must trigger based on that environment's need. So we must have some automation to test our automation or to trigger our automation, and that is typically nothing but your CI/CD pipelines. So if you are having CI/CD pipelines, you must integrate your automation test suite with that deployment or the integration pipeline. Okay. So I will again take a pause and we'll go through the question. Yeah, so Mahesh has a question that can we skip writing or maintaining the manual test cases if we follow acceptance test driven development? So I will just go back to a few slides and sorry. Yeah, so if you look at this particular feature file, so when we do acceptance test driven development, we use some BDD framework for that. And I told you a few names as well: SpecFlow if you are from the .NET background, Cucumber for JUnit, and BDDFi that supports both Java as well as .NET. So they all are helping us to come up with some feature files, and that feature file looks like this. So it talks about your feature, it talks about your scenarios, and it talks about how to execute that test case. So if you look at this feature file, this is nothing but your manual test case scenarios. And since it is as a part of your implementation itself, when you are using acceptance test driven development, you are actually having exactly similar test case maintained in your code repository itself. So it is intangible benefit that if tomorrow you thought of executing that scenario manually because of some reason, you can simply go through that feature file and you can see how to execute that scenario. So your manual test case is ultimately covered in that. And to answer to your question in Boolean way, yes, you don't need to maintain these scenarios separately because it is already captured in your code repository itself. Okay. So, Sujit has a question is, what is the difference between acceptance test driven development compared to business driven development, BDD? Okay, so acceptance test driven development is actually an application of business driven development. So I will give you another example. You must have heard about unit testing, and unit testing is done by using Unit, okay, or JUnit, any framework. And we know that, okay, this is the unit testing, but sometimes we write that unit test case ahead of the implementation, and that ways of working we call as a test driven development. So if you are using business driven development to build your automation, but the only thing that you are doing is you are writing the automation before your functionality actually gets implemented. So it is a test driven development. So you can practice business driven development like the implementation first approach as well. That is, you can implement the functionality and then write your automation using BDD way. That is typically how everyone does. But if you want to take your business driven development to its next level, you write the automation first, and then that will be considered as a acceptance test driven development. So acceptance test driven development is a way to get more of BDD. So if you don't follow BDD, you will not be able to write acceptance test driven development because it is based on that. Okay, can you throw some light on how it is different for BDD? Okay, I guess I just have answered that question. It is just about writing the automation ahead of your implementation. Okay, there is one lengthy question. In my organization, we discussed all the test scenarios with all devs, PS, and PO before developers started the work on the story. So all that are in the same place to deliver the feature of the story. Yeah, so Prashant had asked question quite earlier that in my team, we are discussing all the scenarios with everyone in the team, and then we build the automation. So we implement the scenario. So yeah, that is the right practice, I would say. But if that discussion is ultimately getting converted into your user story, and if that user story is getting converted into your automation, you will see the more benefit, and the actual time to fix your bugs gets minimized with that. So you are already doing some parts of the acceptance test driven development, but if you want to take it to the next level, think of writing the automation first. So automation first or test first is the proven industry practice. So be it a unit test or be it a acceptance test, writing the automation first will always give you the best result. Okay, in R&D type development, next question is in R&D type of development, it happens multiple times. Product owner, development team, and product manager is not very clear on the requirement. So how to go and adopt the acceptance test driven development? So whether it's a product development or whether you are doing some POC or whether you are going with some research and development work, you will always have some story that is prioritized on your backlog. So if a story is prioritized on your backlog, you must have some validation or some criteria using which you will say that the story has delivered its expected value. And that is nothing but the acceptance criteria. And if you have the acceptance criteria agreed, then of course you can write the automation around it. And if you are having the question that, okay, my requirement criteria itself is not agreed, then definitely there is no way in which you can actually start the user stories implementation. Okay, any more question? I can see Vikrant is typing, so let's give him some time to type his question. I'm just going through all the questions if there are any open. Okay, I guess he will take more time. So Vikrant, you can still post your question. I will answer it offline. If there are no questions, I will just show you my last slide, which is, I think, one of the most important one. So this was the last slide. Thanks for your time. That's it from me.
Thanks, Vinay. This was really helpful session. I hope everybody got the questions answered. And if not, please do let us know in the question Q&A section. We can surely answer that.